Well, welcome back everybody to our coverage of the Skeleton Friday here in St. Moritz as we get into our mixed team competition as ever. One male, one female athlete, total elapsed time for both of them will decide the finishing order, and there is snow here as well. So, what are we going to expect? Well, let's take a look at the oldest, the longest, the fastest, and the most famous track in sliding history, one of the most famous sporting venues of them all. We start with a relatively long flat start into this tiny little dink, kink one. Almost completely level here, barely building speed at all. Kink 2, and another long straight in which you don't want to meander or hit the walls or skid into the first corner with an actual name, and that is Wall, named after the wall that's behind it. Then into Snake 1 and Snake 2. Under the bridge into Sunny Corner, up in the pressure here, and out into past Monty's Bolt into Nash and Dixon, named after the British duo who won Olympic gold in the two-man in '64, into Horseshoe, Telephone, where the telephone was to phone for help, Shamrock, and then the first big left-hander, Devil's Dyke, long pressure and three-quarters, and into Nameless, and then Tree, the first of four right-handers, Bridge, Bridge, and then Gunter Sachs, named after the man who built the Dracula Club at the start, and into Martineau, named after Huber Martineau, the first president of the Bob Club here, and Portago, an Olympian from the St. Moritz Bob Club who was killed in the 1957 Mille Miglia. Well, down in the valley in Celerina, you can see the ruined bell tower of the church, and it is swathed in misty snow. So instead of going when they want to within a 30-second timed interval, athletes will be set off by a traffic light system. Red lights will go green. They'll have an audible tone to set them on their way. Any reaction below 0.08 of a second will be decided to be inhumanly fast, and as a result will be penalised heavily. Not disqualification, but so much time penalty that it very definitely means you don't want to start early. So air temperature hovering right around 0 now with the snow, ice temperature at -2. So another team competition with crazy weather. And there you see not just a national team, or half of one, but Rasmus Johansson and his sister Nana for Denmark are a family team. And for the first time ever, a team from Brazil as well, as we now have a male and female Brazilian skeleton slider in the World Cup. So we get our action underway with Spain, and the teams are ranked so that the sort of lowest aggregate score of the sliders, or the highest aggregate score of the sliders, is where they figure. Spain, therefore, with 17-year-old Clara Aznar and Ergen Rodriguez. They go off first. Now, that may not be a disadvantage, because as snow continues to fall, there is a lot of ice to be swept by the track workers. You see there's already snow in the track. And actually, that makes it easier to stay true all the way down to Wall here. Snake 1 and 2, just because it's an S-shaped part of the track. Sunny, because on a sunny day, which is most of the year, but not today, sun shines on that corner. And then Nash and Dixon. In 1964, Nash and Dixon, two British sliders, won Olympic gold in the two-man. They were members of the St. Moritz Bob Club. Out of Horseshoe into Telephone and Shamrock and Devil's Dyke, don't ask me. And then into Nameless and Tree, because there's the corner's built around a tree, and then Bridge, and then Leap, and finally Gunter Sachs, and then down the straight to Martineau, and across the crest to run into Portago. And out of Portago, across the finish line, and a 1:15.43 run for Clara Aznar. Bear with, caller, bear with. let's put that into context, because I have handily written down the times from the first heat and then lost them. Let's take a look. Clara Asnar, first heat, at 1 minute 12.57, so 3 seconds slower, I think we can comfortably say. Adrian Rodriguez competing in the men's competition. He didn't make it through into the top 25 in a field of 40 sleds. I sense this might be a tough competition for the later runners. We might be in for a bit of an upset. Now, 5 red lights go on, and they go off at an indeterminate time. And that was a very sharp change, and a good reaction as well. 15 hundredths of a second. That's a very quick reaction from Adrian Fernandez. Adrian Rodriguez, beg his pardon. Not Adrian Fernandez, the IndyCar driver. Although quite a lot of racing drivers do enjoy a little bit of bobsleigh, and some have even ventured towards heading to skeleton. Not too many, it has to be said. They tend to prefer more the idea of bobsleigh because it's sort of like a car around them. Okay, heading down to horseshoe, nice height. Nice and quiet on the exit. And actually the snow really, as we know from ordinary life, the snow really muffles the sound. Not just snow on the ground, but snow in the air as well. So what was a near silent track before will feel absolutely silent to the athletes, apart from the whistle of the wind noise around their helmet. And when you're doing what they're doing down the bottom here, 82, 83, 84 miles an hour, then it certainly feels every bit as fast as it looks. So 2:28.05, that's the time we need to look for. So they have set the benchmark. And the Spanish team have the lead. They'll be here on the exit of Sunny, just get tagged on the wall. You can see how shiny the runner marks were on the ice there, because there's a lot of snow cutting down all the reflection. So the Spanish duo are in the leaders box. Next up is Latvia. Now, a long time since we've had a Latvian team. Data Naimane. She is our World Cup rookie this weekend. Her very first World Cup start in women's skeleton. Away she goes. Reaction time was very good as well, 15 hundredths of a second. They're as sharp as tacks at the moment. So 15 hundredths of a second, 24 hundredths of a second was Clara Asnar. So in fact she started nearly a tenth quicker, and of course that's all time that's elapsed from the moment that the little gong goes. The clock starts then. If you just stand around looking at people, then obviously the clock is running, and not that they are standing around looking at people. Down into Sunny, a little bit of a hard steer there, and through Nash and Dixon. Under lights, sun has already dropped behind the mountains, so it will become dark fairly quickly here. And a long skid down in the forest. Still in the lead over Clara Asnar. 13 hundredths barely added to her start advantage of 9 hundredths at all on the way down. This is not bad at all for Data Naimane. Across the line, 7 hundredths in front, 1:15.36 for her. So that means that her teammate, Davis Valdovskis, has got a 7 hundredths of a second head start. It's a little bit like a relay race. If your teammate hands the baton to you and they're 3 steps ahead, then you start effectively 3 steps ahead. Or if you're behind, you've got work to do to catch up. And similar to, let's say, a 4x100, not everybody in each of the 4 legs is exactly equivalent to all of their rivals in that leg. You might be a little quicker, you might be a little slower. The whole idea is that you try and, as a team, produce the best result. It's a very difficult starting procedure in every other aspect. All training, all racing they've ever done, you go when you want, when you are ready, and you're able to rock and roll a little bit forwards and backwards in the start groove and move the sled. But here you are not. You must be like a statue and not flinch until you hear that gong go, and then hell for leather. Well, a good reaction time from Douglas Valdovskis as well, 13 hundredths of a second, so finding another couple of hundreds over Adrian Rodriguez, and still in the green, 13 hundredths up, not much in it. They've got slightly better speed, Valdovskis, than his rival from Spain. Still slightly better speed, so the gap is growing, 18 hundredths up. It almost sounds like they're flying. There's no noise from the track at all. Tiny scrapes of the helmet on the ice, occasional little scratch of the toes, but it looks like the Latvians take the lead. They do indeed. There you could see Darta Naimene in the leader's box. And Davis Valdovskis will move in with the leader's box with her. So the lead team and the athlete whose team is currently on ice stand side by side at the bottom. There's Darta, good reaction time from her, 13 hundredths of a second, 15 hundredths of a second from her teammate as well. Excellent work by both of the Latvians. Nice height there, see the body arching around there to rotate the sled. And the two young Latvians have the lead. Next up from the USA, Kelly Curtis and Dan Barefoot. Kelly Curtis goes first. They're not watching the lights, they're just waiting for the sounds. There you go. As soon as you hear that sound, you go. 18 hundredths of a second, that's a very respectable response time. Just a little dink away from kink 1. Nicely through kink 2, not too much meandering. Fastest start so far in the 3 female sliders that we've had, 8.77, and if that sounds like very much slower than their normal start, it is, because actually the clock doesn't start until they break a timing eye once they've moved off the block. Here the clock starts before they even move, and it's right when they're at the start line, not when they're a few steps in. We've seen before now that a quick start and a quick reaction time can really set you up in these team competitions. Sarah Roderick and Austin Florian, silver medalists in Altenburg in the team race for the USA in December. Katie Eulander and Austin Florian in Altenburg in February were in the medals as well, in the bronze. 1.93 up. Kelly Curtis had a very convincing pair of runs in the women's race. Comfortably her best 2 runs of the competition season so far. And that looks like another one from the top draw.
Always fun.
Hey, you get another run in St. Moritz, and never a bad deal. So her teammate, Dan Barefoot, again, he looked comfortable and in command in the men's race. Kelly Curtis race with Hunter Williams in Altenburg, the first team competition of the season. Reaction time 1900s, Kelly Curtis was 1800, so that's a very good spread of start times between the two. Dan Barefoot and Sarah Roderick were together last time out in Winterberg. They finished 4th, just kept off the podium by the snow and the Chinese. And Mystique Rowe was racing with Austin Florian in the other US team. first race of the season. Sarah Roderick and Austin Florian taking that silver medal. Kelly Curtis with Hunter Williams, 13th place out of the 15 teams. This looks like it's going to be a good combination. Kelly Curtis and Dan Barefoot both going well there. Latvia at the bottom, Kelly Curtis at the top, watching her teammate in action. And across the line, 2 seconds up, 2:25.76 for Team USA. So 1:13.43 and 1:12.33.
That's a lot of fun.
So over a mile of ice, just about a second between the two of them. The men, habitually with faster starts, tend to have a bit more mass as well, which helps gravity accelerate them once they are sliding down the mountain. So Dan Barefoot getting away nice and quickly.
All right, a little bit
There
more.
are your leaders.
Bring it down.
They're hoping a little more snow will delay their rivals. Sarah Schmidt didn't make the cut and only had one run in the women's race, unfortunately starting late in the field. Early start under review. Now, it's not guaranteed that there will be a penalty, but it is close enough. Oh, and a lot of clattering against the wall. Not as tidy a run as her first heat, and the sled is just constantly moving around under her. So her start shown as 8.37 seconds. Now Kelly Curtis is a quicker starter than Sarah Schmidt, and she started 8.7, so 0.4 of a second difference now. Nobody's been under 12 hundredths of a second in reaction time so far. And if the RT is 0.07 or smaller, then there will be a penalty. Fifth best speed for Sarah Schmidt. Oh, and a big hit there as she came into Gunter Sachs' curve. Through Martineau and Portago, and across the line she comes. 1:14.95. And the early start adding half a second to their time, 51 hundredths. And she was saying it was a horrible run anyway. Yeah. All right, well, that leaves Livio Summermatter with nowhere to go, really. That's a shame for the Swiss, because they did originally have a second team, Julia Simpson and Vincent Buff, but they have opted not to race, so this is the only home hope. Well, you can see no movement at all before you heard the tone. And a 0.25, yeah, that's a fine reaction time, no problem at all with that. 8.16 his start. Now, Livio did have a good run, one of his best World Cup runs today in the men's competition, and certainly his best in St. Moritz. Unfortunately, not going to be able to back that up, because they're half a second disadvantage is going to leave them behind USA. Now, as more snow comes, it's not beyond the bounds of possibility that the track might be a quarter of a second a mile slower, which would mean that your average team will lose half a second compared to those going on a slightly less snowy track. But leaving things in the lap of the gods, never ideal. USA at the bottom, they will be the leaders, and Switzerland will drop into second place, fourth fastest run, but a 2:28.35. In fact, that drops them to the tail of the field. 1:12:34 for Livio Summermatter, 1:12:33 for Dan Barefoot. So that's how close it might have been. All right, Sarah Schmidt was half a second slower than Kelly Curtis. And the sled is moving. Now the sensors are in the sled. It has a motion sensor, a trembler. So if it moves, you're done. Oh, reminds me of the good old days when we used to get a team of half a dozen athletes and go, right, think of something funny to do. You've got 5 seconds to do it in. Anja Unterscheider now, youth Olympian on this track back in 2020. She finished 9th in the Youth Olympic Games for Austria. And the youngster back in the World Cup fold here for St. Moritz. 0.27 reaction time, that's entirely acceptable. And a 9:33 getaway. I'm not sure that Anja has done one of these before, so it's always nice to have a bit of a novelty. It's something different. It's relatively light-hearted, even if you end up being in the hunt for the medals. Yes, if you end up winning one, then it's super exciting. But I think everybody goes into it with entirely the right frame of mind. It's a chance to do something different and actually slide for your nation. And that really normally only happens once every 4 years when you're in the Olympic Games. And even then, bobsleigh and skeleton per se aren't exactly that team participation. Certainly skeleton has always been one-on-one. Not a bad looking run at all from Anja Unterscheider. 1:14.95. That is exactly the same as Sarah Schmidt of Switzerland produced off a start that was a second slower for Anja Unterscheider. So she is done and goes into the team box, and Florian Auer again returning to the World Cup for the first time since February 2024 in a World Cup race.
Florian Auer, Bahn ist frei.
Flo might well have competed in team competition last year, but even more likely to have in the four-way competition where we had men and women's skeleton and a women's bob and a men's bob. 1400s, very good RT from Florian Auer.
Das nächste Team ist dann das Team Brasil. Brasil.
So we'll hear from our track announcer. Next up will be the team from Brazil, and that will be absolutely a first in the team competition. A nice looking run from Florian Auer. Last 2 men down, 12:33, 1 minute 12:34. Best speed for Auer. 1.5 behind the USA though. This should leave them in second place ahead of Latvia, Spain and Switzerland. This is Austria 2. There is an Austria 1 team coming as well. So 1.25 back, a 1:12.06 run. A very strong run from Florian Auer.
Warte.
Ach, sauer.
Passt. Jetzt habe ich das noch ein bisschen, aber...
Start in 10 seconds.
So Anja Unterscheider, 9th in the Youth Olympic Games here in St. Moritz. She must like coming back, those memories of being a youth Olympian.
The track is clear.
And Florian Auer, there he is, with Anja on the left. Next up for Brazil, Nicole Silveira, her first time in the team competition. Away she goes. Had a really strong run. Second after the first heat of the women's race. She finished up with a bronze medal. Only 100th off at the start. It's an 8.78 start for Nicole Silveira of Brazil. 0.29 reaction time, so she was being reactive rather than proactive at the start, going with the sound rather than trying to anticipate it. 0.04 of a second up. This is head-to-head with Kelly Curtis of the USA. Nice line again through Horseshoe. Is the snow abating? I think it might be. The track might be starting to clear up a little. 2600's up, second best speed of all for Nicole Silveira. And down into Martineau and Portago, still with green numbers. And across the line by 2300ths of a second. Well, it's not a lifetime, but it is a lead. 1:13.20 to Kelly Curtis's 1:13.43. Now then, for the first time, Brazil, because although we've had Nicole Silveira for several years, we've never had a Brazilian male slider alongside her. Now we do. Eduardo Strapasson, and he is the son of former Brazilian skeleton slider Emilio Strapasson. Here for the very first time to see how it's done in the World Cup, to race at the elite level. He's only ever raced in North America up until now.
Go, 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 go.
And away he goes. So training with Nicole, training with Kim Marmons of Belgium, coached by Richard Bromley. Eduardo Strapasson in the foothills of his career. 8.93 the start. And the reaction time 0.32, barely any slower than Nicole Silveira. Just love watching sliding on this track. It's such a different experience from anywhere else. It sounds different, it looks different, the temperatures are different. Calgary Whistler Lake Placid can really generate the sort of cold that we get here habitually in St. Moritz. So USA are current leaders, and Brazil not able to hold that advantage. Eduardo Strapasson, it's hardly a surprise. He's never raced outside of the USA, never been to St. Moritz before. So for all the efforts of his teammate, they are going to slip out from the lead down to 5th position, but they're ahead of Switzerland 1. So a 1:15.11.
30 seconds.
Well, a very... she's gone up to greet him. A very first race for Brazil in the team competition, which is excellent news. And again, another fine-looking run from Nicole Silveira. She really works on this track. She really does. Just suits her well. And for Eduardo, well, what a place to come. Now, the Czech Republic. Habitual party spoilers for some of the teams that might be nominally a little better fancied, not the least of which is the fault of this young lady, Anna Fernstedt. 400s off the start of Kelly Curtis, 8.81. Reaction time was decent as well, 0.24. And Anna Fernstedt is an excellent slider. Not the fastest starter, but she knows ice. She feels ice well. She can really drive a sled. Down to horseshoe, nice height. Nice quiet exit, no contact with anything. Fourth best speed, 2100s back. Third best speed, only a 1/10 of a second in it. And she'll need to take the lead from Kelly Curtis to give her teammate and her cousin a chance. That's not two people, it's the same person. Across the line, 400s in it, 1:13.47. And that means that her teammate, her cousin, Timon Drahanovsky, must beat Dan Barefoot by 500s or 400s to tie. Nice run again from Anna Fernstedt. And these two already have a medal from Altenburg in February last year. They were the silver medalists, ahead of Katie Uhlaender and Austin Florian of the USA, and behind the German duo of Susanne Kreher and Axel Jung. So, do not blow the start, Timon. That looked pretty clean. Away he goes. Reaction time 0.25. And now, since his cousin Anna and Kelly Curtis were so close, it is basically a one-run race between him and Dan Barefoot, and whoever comes out on top comes out on top. 0.5 of a second back, just half a second in it. On this track, it's very easy to give that away. Much harder to find it again. Little tap coming into Sunny. Little skinny down through the run into horseshoe. And had to really work hard on the exit of horseshoe. A little bit of light snow still falling. But looking to see how much the track is cleaning up as every one of the sleds blows snow out of the way. Anna at the top, USA leaders at the bottom. And across the line, 0.95 back. So his run was a 1:13.24. But Dan Barefoot, a 1:12.33. So that accounts for most of the gap between them. So teammates, compatriots and cousins.
Oh, sorry, 20, sorry. Now, 10 seconds.
And there you can see the two differing lines. Anna first, Timon second. He didn't get the height, he didn't come in on the right line. Had to work quite hard to come off there as well. Right, they slipped to second place out of our 7 teams so far. Now, a proper family team, brother and sister. Nana Johansson. And coming up after her, her older brother Rasmus. 9:28 the start for Nana Johansson. Didn't quite make the cut in the women's race. Only her 3rd World Cup start. Good reaction time though, 0.19. And they race together in Winterberg as well. So nice to have a new team from Denmark last time out. They stay with us. We have a new team from Brazil this time out. If we can add a different nation every time out, we'd be like pigs in clover. 15th best speed for Nana Johansson. still motoring on. 108 kilometres an hour is 67.5 miles an hour. Racing on down through Martinel and Portago, over 80 miles an hour down into those final two corners. 1:16.03. So that is the mark that she has left. There you can see the railway line in the background. The track comes up under the railway line. We go down under it, loop round and come back up under it again into the finish area. Nanna Johansson being helped, like her brother, by the German coaches, German equipment, German coaching. I wonder who Nanna rooms with, because we know from Christopher Groothair that he shares accommodation with Rasmus Johansson. Athletes often double up in rooms, and they are roommates. So the athlete is asked if they are ready. When they are, they get that first ding-dong, then the 5 lights, then the buzz, and the lift doors open, or they start, whichever. 0.19, another excellent reaction time from Rasmus Johansson, same as his sister, and an 8.15 getaway. That's quick. So USA 2 still leading. USA 1 to come, Mystique Rowe and Austin Florian. They will be our 14th team. Total of 19 teams competing here this evening. Trying to undo the deficit that he was handed by his sister. How close is he going to be? I think he should be relatively close to Dan Barefoot's speed, and the difference between them may be the difference between the two female teammates. Kelly Curtis being quicker, a little paddle there in the final two corners, 2.52, and his time 1:12.25, and that was actually quicker than Dan Barefoot, so he did reduce the gap. That is the fastest run down so far. The team in 6th place ahead of Brazil and Switzerland.
20 seconds.
And while this is all a bit of fun now, the reason that we are ramping up the number of team competitions in the World Cup is that in Milan-Cortina 2026 it will be an Olympic event. Now, I had taken my eyes down to look at the start time as he shifted grooves there unintentionally. I didn't see that happening. So, up for Italy now is our first Italian duo, Alessandra Fumagalli and Mattia Gaspari. Gaspari, a bronze medalist in the World Championships in Altenburg with Valentina Margaglia. Now, that was before the reaction light system was started. So we had 2 World Championship races in Altenburg and Winterberg. Well, the Italians have yet, no, I beg your pardon, they haven't yet to claim a medal. Valentina Margaglia and Amadeo Bagnis won here last year in February 24. Oh, huge skid for Alessandra Fumagalli. Putting on the brakes massively down to Nash and Dixon. Oh, and hits hard into Telephone, late onto Shamrock. Getting it back together through Devil's Dyke. And of course, when we're here in St. Moritz, we remember that skeleton originated right next to the bobsleigh track, to where the Olympia Bobrun is now, on the Cresta run. 1:14.88 for Alessandra Fumagalli. Now, the original Cresta sleds are big, heavy old things with a padded seat in the middle, a cushion in the middle that you lie on head first, like these. And for the beginners, you have your hands in front of you until you get up to a certain speed. Then the arms come back, you slide forward on the seat, and suddenly your chin's on the ice, and oh boy, that's a whole different thing. So good reaction time from Alessandro Fumagalli, 0.17 of a second. Now Mattia Gaspari. Let's see what he can produce. Had a good first run, not quite so good in the second heat. Let's see if he can revert to run one. Feel on the track, nice exit out of kink 1. 8:28 start. Mattia with a very decent reaction time, 0.17 of a second. Snow can't make its mind up, can it? Lighter, bigger, fatter, wetter flakes, quite light. Now it seems to be coming down a little more heavily. Lots of the track is in the trees, which does protect it. It's not like having a roof, but, you know, nature's roof. But when you're out in the open parts, you'll notice the snow a lot more. Still behind the USA. And they're not going to catch them. But where do Italy end up? 9700s back in 3rd place. And that's a 1:11.85. So good run from Mattia Gaspari. Well, Alessandro Fumagalli losing a little too much early on. Well, they lie in 3rd place. They are our 10th team of 19. There's a little tap coming onto Devil's Dyke from Mattia. Next up for Belgium, Kim Marmans. Just trying to see what is the best finish for the Belgians so far this season. Well, Len Peltmans and Colin Freeling were 17th in Winterberg. I think it was Alina as well with Colin in Altenburg. Now with Kim Marmans. She was in the medals, silver medalist earlier this morning in the women's race. Only 800s behind. Gaps coming down. 5th best speed. Good stuff from Kim Marmans. 600s in the lead. This is going to be close. Kim Marmans, Kelly Curtis. It's about the 2 athletes, not the total team time at the moment. It's just the individual slider. How much of a lead? 1200s, 1:13.31. So the fastest, second fastest run down, because actually Nicole Silveira of Brazil, 1:13.20 in her run. 1:13.21 for Kim Marmans. There is Nicole Silveira. And here is Colin Freeling. Now, there's 2 separate training camps going on here, because Richard Bromley coaches Belgium's Kim Marmans and Brazil's Nicole Silveira on his Bromley-built sleds. But training with the Brits is Colin Freeling. Ready Headlights on and off they go. Now let's see what he can produce in terms of a start. Reaction time was very good, 1700s.
Frühling muss das jetzt einfach runterbringen. Eine halbe Sekunde zurück bei Wolf.
So slipping behind immediately. Start 8.59. And still being measured against the USA, Kelly Curtis and Dan Barefoot. Nice smooth looking lines from Colin Freeling. Didn't have the acceleration at the start. It's going to take him a long time to try and catch up. 8th best speed. But at the moment, slipping behind. As they come across the line, 2nd place ahead of Czech Republic. So the 1, 2, 3 at the moment, USA 2, Belgium, Czech Republic.
30 seconds.
But they're ahead of Italy 2, Austria 2, Latvia, Spain, Denmark, Brazil, Switzerland. Kim Marmans goes to offer her congratulations. Well, here is Marmans.
Start in 10 seconds.
Good quick run. And there's Kim and Colin. So the USA still lead as we get to China with Li Yuxi and Chen Wenhao. Now they are going earlier, where China 2 team as the China 2 team, whereas they originally expected to be the China 1 team. 0.25 reaction for Li Yuxi. This is going to completely confuse me because I'm looking at 2 different bits on my piece of paper. So ignore the paper for a moment. Well, Li Yuxi and Yin Sheng took the bronze medal last week in a team competition in Winterberg. Yin Sheng is in with Chao Dan in the other Chinese team. Li Yuxi sharing with Chen Wenhao. Last week it was Chao Dan and Lin Qinwei, the rookie, who took gold. China's first ever medal. Wasn't just 1, in fact it was 2. They got the gold and the bronze. And in the snow in Winterberg, they damn near got a 1-2 result. It was only Janine Flock and Sammy Meyer who got in between them. This year it's been Li Yuxi and Yin Sheng. So a change around. Dirt Matches has done this a few times actually, just shuffled the members around between various different teams. He's got 3 men and 3 women and 2 teams, so he can mix and match and just try and get the right performance from each of the duos. And it makes sense, you know, whoever has the best day on the track gets into the team competition. There's no point in theory being the best and having an absolute shocker, because it's just not a track that gels for you. So, Li with Chen Wenhao. So 1:14.1 compared to 1:13.4 of Kelly Curtis leaves the Chinese with a lot of ground to make up. Good start, 7.92. That is quick. That's the fastest we've had from Chen Wenhao rather. And his reaction time just 0.13 of a second. Nice smooth line as well from Chen. Good height. Nicely out of horseshoe. Drops into telephone and Shamrock and Devil's Dyke.
Wir wollen einen Liederwechsel. Einen Zehntel noch der Rückstand.
A tenth behind, fourth best speed. This is going to be close. How close is it? Dan Barefoot and Kelly Curtis, a tenth up. 2:25.66, hard to read. 1:11.48. So China take the lead from the USA. And Belgium currently in third place.
10 seconds.
Chen blasting off with a 7:92 start.
The track is clear.
Excellent. Now then, Alessia Crippa for Italy. Oh, was there a little flinch? 1900ths of a second the reaction time. And it looks as though there wasn't movement in the sled, or if there was, it was the tiniest amount and just a little twitch.
Italiaans, mit Alessia Crippa unterwegs.
Quarter of a second up at the moment on Li Yuxi. That is a good run so far from the Italian. Now, the top half of the track seemed to go well for the Italians in the individual races, and then they just gradually lost speed further down. Not the greatest height, and had to work hard to steer off horseshoe. Speed's gone. Only the 15th fastest, and she is our 25th sled. 1600s up. Gap's coming down. Is she going to have the lead over Li Yuxi at the line? Not going to be by a great deal, is it? 1900s, 1:13.99. Well, Li had a 1:14.18 after a disappointing start to the run. And Alessia outstarting her by 1500ths of a second.
10 seconds.
Now here is our men's race winner last year, silver medalist in the World Championships in 2023. And Amadeo Bañez was in the medals again with a silver at lunchtime in the men's competition. So in the last 3 races he's had here, he's gone silver, gold, silver. He was the winner in the teams competition here in St. Moritz in January last year as well with Valentina Margalio. 2200s up. 0.26, not the fastest reaction time, but he's made up for it a bit at the start. 7.89 the getaway. He's got to be clean though. Little swoopy through snake 1 and 2. Snow continuing to come down here in St. Moritz. Good height in horseshoe. Using it nicely on the exit as well. Little offline. Gets it back together. The Devil's Dyke. 2700s up. The gap is barely changing. Alessia Cripper getting very excited. I think the Chinese know their time in the leaders' box is over by how much? 43 hundredths. Good run, 1:11.24 from Amadeo Bañez. So Alessia Cripper goes up to greet him and wisely does not step in front of a sled that's probably still doing 45 miles an hour. And the rest. So the Italians have the lead. You have to be careful on the ice here. It doesn't crackle just because. It crackles because it's very cold and hard. Alessia Cripper digging in and driving away from the block. And a nice line from Amadeo. Navigates that well. Do you see what I did there? All right, I'll stop now. So Italy lead as we get to our second US team, Mystique Rowe and Austin Florian. This is USA 1. Mystique Rowe in the top half dozen, 1400s, great getaway, great RT. She's a fast starter as well, 8:54, second fastest.
China 2, Juxilium, Renaud Chen und Sing 2 mit Kelly Curtis und Daniel.
46 hundredths up on Kelly Curtis, and so much of that courtesy of a start that was 23 hundredths faster than her teammate. And Li Yuxi started 9:01. So she was getting on for half a second quicker than the Chinese starter as well. And that gap continuing to grow. Good run from Mystique Rowe. Down into Martineau and exiting Portago, 1.2 seconds up, 1:12.78. And that is faster than 2 or 3 of our male sliders already. 1:12.78 for Mystique Rowe. Hands and feet on the ground. Don't do anything silly. Your day is over. Lots of encouragement from friends and family, from teammates for Austin Florian.
Here we go.
2 times a medalist in this competition. Took the silver in Altenburg with Sarah Roderick. He hasn't had a medal in a team competition here, and there are still a number of teams to go. 5 still to come, so even the lead now over Italy would not guarantee a medal. He's doing everything he can. And a 7.68 start, quicker than Amadeo Bañez. So the starts alone, the US team, Mystique Rowe was 32 hundredths quicker than Alessia Cripper, and Austin Florian was 29 hundredths quicker than Amadeo Bañez. So 6 tenths in the start alone over their Italian rivals. That's quite some sprint starting. And look at the margin growing. The speed is excellent. A good run. He liked both his runs here today. I think that's 3 for 3. That is a really nice run. 1:11.26 for Austin Florian. Well, Amadeo Bañez came down 1:11.24, only 2 hundredths behind a man who's had 2 silvers and a gold in 3 years on this track. That could be very strong for the USA. Well, they lead. We've still got 6 teams to go.
Dan, so the track is clear.
Woo. Hey, everybody.
So China won. Xiao Dan. It's going to be Xiao Dan and Yin Sheng. 0.18, good RT. Like in drag racing, how fast you react to the lights and leave the line is really critical to your acceleration thereafter.
Team USA 1.
If you start 500s before somebody else hits the throttle, then you have a 500th of a second advantage. It's as simple as that. Reaction time is all part of the equation. This is reaction time. This is speed out of the block, so that burst of energy. And then, of course, it's carrying that speed preciously all the way down to the bottom and trying to allow gravity to add to it. Nice exit without a horseshoe. By the way, watching the action here, interestedly, some young skeleton sliders from Japan, whose development program continues apace. So there's potential for another team maybe coming in and adding to the mix in the action. 4200s back, 113.20 for Xiao.
Start in 30 seconds.
So China behind the USA. And that means now that Yin Sheng, our push world champion from Lake Placid 2 years ago, has got a bit of work to do.
Yin, the track is clear.
So Mystique Row, 112.78, 113.20 for Xiao Dan. It's getting on for half a second. Oh! Sled was moving, no question at all. But maybe not enough. 0.29 at the start, or the reaction time. And the start time, 8.22 for Yin Sheng.
Jacqueline, auch bekannt als Hörwaldblitz.
I think the officials would have judged that he didn't actually start leaving the block too early, even if the sled did have a little twitch. Certainly no investigation seems to be underway, but 1.4 seconds back. Third best speed for Yin Sheng. Don't forget China with 2 medals last weekend. Yin Sheng and Li Yuxi took the bronze. And Xiao Dan and Lin Cheng-wei took the gold. Now Xiao Dan and Yin Sheng. As the Americans goof in the leaders box, they stay in by a second, 2:25.11 for the Chinese. 1:11.91 for Yin Sheng, compared to 1:11.26 for Austin Florian. So the gap grew considerably.
Starting 20 Sekunden.
And China now second and fourth, so there will be no double medal haul for them this time. See Yin, sled moves, but then he didn't move. He got away with that. I'm not sure they're going to be quite so convivial in the Olympic Games. A move is a move. Next up, Germany 2. Jacke Pfeiffer and Axel Jung, representing Winterberg and Altenberg. Long hold for the lights. 0.19 reaction time. Good stuff from Jacke. Now she's going to have to drive herself into contention. 8.81 compared to 8.5 for the start of Mystique Row. 2700s back to 4800s back, heading down through and to Sunny. 5200s is the deficit. Nice height, nice form in horseshoe. One little correction, didn't quite have the line she wanted. 9th best speed. Bringing it back, top speed now from Jacqueline Pfeiffer, 3600s back, little skid down into the Sachs curve and a tap on the wall heading down into Martineau. Not enough to take the lead, is it? It's not. 1300s back though, that's a really good run from Jacka. Now this starts to get a little bit more wrapped up. Still 4 teams to go after this. Couple of little errors from Jacqueline Pfeiffer. Axel Jung getting ready to go. Daniel Sklatter behind him. Swiss IBSF official.
Axel Jung, die Bahn ist frei.
So. See how the athletes are trembling. Now reaction time 0.05, is that correct?
Axel Jung. Das ist genau die Limite, alles was schneller ist.
It looked clean, 4600s back. And his start time 7.90 compared to 7.68 of Austin Florian. Nice run through horseshoe. 3200s back. Gap is fluctuating, but he's got slightly better speed here. He's going to have to find something very magical down at the bottom. 1600s back. USA or Germany to lead with 4 to go. Jacka Pfeiffer going, come on, come on, come on. The Americans, I think, sense their time might be over. Oh, he did. He came back in the final 2 corners. Whoa, okay. So Axel, 1:11 dead. That's a big run. And a reaction time of 0.05 of a second. But look at that. Is that little brush with the wall going to be enough to count them out of a medal? Each of them made mistakes, but each of them had a good run. 4 to go, Germany lead. So we have GB2, GB1, Austria 1 and Germany 1. Amelia Coltman up first for GB2. Race winner in Pyeongchang earlier this season. Well, Great Britain took a silver medal in the World Championships in Winterberg in the team competition. They took a silver medal in St. Moritz in the team competition. In World Cup races, and a bronze, by the way, but in World Cup races, Tabby Sturker and Marcus Wyatt, the winners in Altenburg in December. So, a pretty decent run of success for Great Britain. Marcus Wyatt with Tabby Sturker in that winning team. Tabby not sliding in today's competition. 800's back for Amelia Coltman. Little tap on the wall. Not going to help her build speed in the forest. 19th best speed, and the gap's out to 2600s. Across the line, half a second back, 1:13.44. So pressure on Marcus Wyatt. Now this should be a pretty decent matchup, actually. Jacqueline Pfeiffer, Axel Jung versus Amelia Coltman and Marcus Wyatt. Hang on a minute, that's not Amelia Coltman. So what are we doing here? Which team is this? What new insanity is it? Would everybody please stop swapping sliders around? That was Freya Tarbit. Right, well, that was a change we weren't told of. Track announcer knows that this, or thinks this is Marcus Wyatt. But Freya Tarbit was supposed to be sliding with Matt Weston. It's not Weston's helmet, I don't think. That looks like Marcus to me. So, right, so Freya Tarbit and Marcus Wyatt, and then possibly Amelia Coltman and Matt Weston. We'll wait and see. 4100's back. So Germany, USA and China is the 1, 2, 3 at the moment. 3 to go after this. Nice height from Marcus Wyatt, really clean exit as well. But 6/10 back, 5th best speed. Losing ground to Axel Jung. Is this going to be a snow-affected end to the race? Started 7:82, barely quicker than Axel. And it looks as though the Germans will hold on to the lead here. They do. 0.9 back for Team GB. 1:11.37 for Marcus Wyatt. 3,700 slower than Axel Jung. And Freya Tarbit was half a second slower than Jacka Pfeiffer.
Start in 20 seconds.
Not brave enough.
All right, so Germany, USA, GB2. Possibly not going to be a medal for Freya Tarbit and Marcus Wyatt. Not with 3 still to go.
Freya Tarbit, the track is clear.
Good form again in horseshoe. Total faith in the line.
It's okay. Everybody.
So then, Amelia Coltman, yes. Yes it is, there's the Red Arrows helmet. So reaction time 0.19 for Amelia Coltman.
Team events.
No real need to be swapping people around this late. I mean, they don't even release the start list until half an hour after the second of the skeleton races. So by that stage, you obviously know who your quickest pairs are going to be. The only person it inconveniences is me. In the green, Amelia Coltman. Good start, nice lines. Speed is sagging. I do seem to be blowing more snow out of the track now as the sleds are going down. Tied with the Germans. She's going to be behind Jacka Pfeiffer at the line. What is the deficit going to be for Matt Weston to overcome? The winner in the men's race has to make up half a second. And that's just to stay ahead of Germany too. Now, in his second heat, Matt produced an astonishing turn of speed, and in his first, 2 track records for Matt Weston today. And he might need to produce that sort of speed again. Yeah, come on, Matt. So there is Matt Weston. That familiar white patch on the helmet where the ice has been rubbed off. Why is it being rubbed off that high up? Well, that's because he presses his face down, not his chin down. He presses his whole head down to stay out of the airstream when he knows where he's going, which is a lot. So needs a big start here. Asuyuk starting 7.90. He's out of the traps like a scalded cat, but was it too quick? Well, the reaction time given as 0.19, and somehow the Chinese got away with a sled that was moving, and somebody else got away with the reaction time, Asuyuk, that was 0.05. So we'll have to wait and see. Start shown as 7.45 seconds, so 45 hundredths up on Asuyuk. Takes the lead immediately despite a 31 hundredths deficit to Germany in the first leg. Definitely more snow in the air, and that means more snow on the track. Well, never mind the start. This is going to be the run that has to make the difference. 2600s up, third best speed. It's another flying run from Matt Weston. Well, the Germans should feel relatively comfortable here. Not many reviewed starts don't pick up a penalty. And across the line, 2400s back. Well, no penalty. Has a penalty been applied? I can't tell. Yeah, 64 hundredths of a second has been applied. So that was a 1:11.09. Is that with or without the 64 hundredths? I can't tell. No. But we're going to have to sort this timing system out before the games, because nobody's going to understand anything they're looking at on the screens. So full start, 0.6 of a second. So how did the Chinese not get penalised for the sled moving? And how does a reaction time of 0.19 get a penalty when a reaction time shown as 0.05 doesn't? There are definitely things that we need to sort out. Anyway, 2 to go. Germany lead. We've got Austria and Germany remaining. USA are in second, GB1 in third, and that is Amelia Coltman and Matt Weston still in a potential medal position with the penalty. More snow coming down. 8.78 start for Janine Flock. Well, she took her second consecutive win of the season this morning, her 4th career gold in St. Moritz. Her first win here, incidentally, since 2018. So 6 long years ago. And enough to tie her on wins with Shelley Rudman of Great Britain. Now, Shelley will hold the moral high ground because one of her 4 gold medals here was in the World Championships. Nice run from Janine Flock. 700s back on Jacqueline Pfeiffer. But the speed is being affected, I think, by the snow. 1500s back. But she built her win below Sachs. Here on down, the last few hundred meters, now she pinballs off the walls. Does she have enough speed to come back and grab the lead at the line? No, 1200s back. Well, great reaction time from Janine as well. 900ths of a second, the RT. Good strong start, 8.78, and a really classy drive again. Smooth, flowing. So I'm so used to hanging out with these guys that I even understand Austrian now. She was just saying I'm super skiddy in the straights. It looked like it, and I think that's the snow. because a tiny little bit of snow on top of the ice lubricates it, makes you skid more. Sammy Meyer for Austria. Can he take the lead? 0.17 reaction time. Well, the start not as quick as Axel Jung. 8.24, so 34 hundredths behind Axel. So he's got to undo that and the 12 hundredths that they were behind from the first heat. He's going to need all the ice there is on this track. Well, Sammy had another good day in the office today, another strong run, pair of runs. Let's see if the Austrians can grab a medal. Flockenmeyer, the silver medalists last weekend in Winterberg, in the snow. They led off the first heat. And somehow, I beg your pardon, they didn't lead off the first heat. But in the snow, going late, they couldn't overhaul the time set by the Chinese way earlier in the competition, and they're not going to overhaul the Germans here either. Oh, 8 tenths back. So 1:11.69 compared to 1:11.0 for Axel Jung. And that, I think, puts real pressure on Suzanne Kreher and Lukas Neidegger, who come last. Well, the Austrians not in the top 3. As the snow just put the kibosh on the final 2 teams, it might have. There's Janine. Oh, that was Sammy, in fact. Now then, final sled. World champion 2023 on this track, Suzanne Kreher. 12 hundredths of a second is the reaction time. And the start 8.72 compared to 8.81 of Jacqueline Pfeiffer. So she starts faster, but Jacka has so much more experience in this track. Probably not an awful lot in snow, if we're being honest. It doesn't often snow when sleds are on track here. Normally the snow in St. Moritz is reserved for overnight. The sun comes out in the day, which is a very civilized way of doing things. Of course, we are racing into the darkness, so nice heights from Suzanne Kreher. 2 hundredths of a second in it. But 23rd best speed. The gap's going to grow, isn't it? She was 2 hundredths back. How far behind of the line, or can she turn it around to take the lead for Germany 1? No, from 2 hundredths to 55 hundredths back. I don't think there's anything left in the track for Lukas Neidegger, and that's a real shame for the rookie, the junior world champion, along with last year's the 2023 rather world champion. Still keep thinking it's 2024. Well, Suzanne Kreher 1:13.46. Jackie Pfeiffer was 1:12.91. So you can tell the mountain that is waiting to be climbed by Lukas Neidegger. So Axel Jung starting 7.90 with a reaction time somehow of 0.05. RT 0.19. 82 hundredths back. He's got to basically outdrive his vastly more experienced teammate by nearly a second over this mile of ice to take the win for Germany 1. At the moment, unless he halves the deficit, they're not going to finish in the medals either. 1 second back. The gap is growing. The track is slowing. Just too much snow in the end. I think maybe two superb runs from Jacqueline Pfeiffer and Axel Jung are going to seal the deal. And for the remainder, a little, too late. 1.2 seconds back. 5th best speed, though, for Lukas Neidegger. They should be in the top half dozen, but not at the top end of it, at the bottom end of it, I think. Probably going to be 5th place at the line. He's 7th at the line. It got even slower. So Germany to win. Jacqueline Pfeiffer and Axel Jung. Well, Jung won in Altenburg last February with Suzanne Kreher. And Jacka won the first World Championship gold in this skeleton teams competition with Alexander Gassner back in Altenburg 2020. Hi, Alexander, if you are watching us, as I'm sure at some stage you will be. Well, nothing much that Suzanne Kreher and Lukas Neidegger could do. Same for Janine Flock and Sammy Meyer. Really, the track just wasn't there anymore. Well, a good effort and a fun involvement as well. Germany won. Jacqueline Pfeiffer and Axel Jung take the gold. USA in 2nd place. And that was Mystique Rowe and Austin Florian. And despite a penalty, Team GB won. Amelia Coltman and Matt Weston take the bronze medal here, ahead of Austria, GB2, and China 1. So Axel Jung and Jacqueline Pfeiffer on the top step of the podium. A first win together for them. And that 0.64 of a second penalty definitely denied Amelia Coltman and Matt Weston the gold, but they take a bronze medal. And further down, USA 2 eventually ending up in 10th place after setting a time that few could beat early on. Switzerland 2 unfortunately didn't go. Penalty 2 for Switzerland 1. And they finish in 19th place, but welcome to Brazil, to the teams competition. Well, there you go. Germany, USA on the left, GB on the right. And that is your top 3, the podium here for the team competition. And that's it, done for a Friday here in St. Moritz. 1 race tomorrow because of warm conditions in training. There will have to be more bobsleigh training tomorrow, Saturday. So it will be 0900 start, 0800 GMT, 0300 Eastern for the 2-man bobsleigh World Cup. We'll see you then. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.